Hi, this is James with the Metal Gear Solid 4 Metal Gear Online.
And this is SchwereViper bringing up the rear.
The specific skill that we're looking at here is called CQC EX, which is the highest form of CQC. I think this is the level of CQC that Liquid Ocelot and Old Snake have by default. Is that right, Viper?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Basically, CQC EX allows you to choke out people in about 1 second, and a CQC throw will instantly knock them out.
Right. Oh, this is great. This dude right here rolled past me, did not notice me. I'm trying so hard to
Wow, he
get to
just
him.
did not notice you. Gee. Eventually having to resort to lock on.
Yeah, yeah. At a certain point, I was like, "Oh God, he's got a runner. He's running faster than I am. Let's just do this." I love hiding in a box. Like, watch this. Like, two dudes are gonna run right past and not notice.
I can understand that. Now, amazingly, the most common thing that happened to me is that they would literally run 3 feet away from me and not notice me while I was in a box.
Well, they did such a good job of randomly placing boxes that it was plausible to go, just a box.
Oh, there's
Yes.
there's Parker. Hi, Parker. You just took out
Yeah,
five.
which was a little foolish. I probably should have. Parker didn't see me. I probably should have taken care of the guy who was still alive. I actually thought that he had been with the physics. Like, thought that he was dead, but no.
It's amazing how often you could get caught out by those ragdolls.
This is this is played on the Japanese servers. I know that the Whitloka was my Japanese character's name. A CQC EX was one of the skills that was great. I mean, if you could use it well, you could rack up a ton of Drebin points simply because you get that bonus for knocking them out. Then, if you're all clear, you can get a headshot.
The most bizarre thing is that people would be genuinely upset that you stunned them instead of just killing them. I suppose because they had to wait to wake up instead of just instantly respawning. The power of CQCEX also obvious because it is when you equip CQCEX, it is the only skill you can have equipped. Also, another interesting thing that was often lamented but never quite understood is that CQCEX also allows you to automatically counter other people's CQC grabs when you're grabbed from the front.
Yes, that's right, and I think that's actually one of the reasons why it was often forbidden.
Japanese people getting angry at Parker there.
Yeah. When they see the red ping, they're pretty sure, and I try to act like a generous interventionist.
I have to say, looking at this, we have very similar playstyles.
The menu option was actually recently patched out by the update that added trophies and stuff like that to MGS4.
Man, was the menu option really patched out?
Yeah, I regret to say it was. Oh, team killed. That was probably one of the stupider things you can do. What I did, which is to, with a close quarters skill, run into an area of combat, trying to use close quarter skills when there's gunplay. But you know. Oh God, when you see that drum coming,
The fear is instantaneous.
no, seriously.
Wow,
No.
You guys had a little dogpile going there. Like, one guy down, 2 guys down, 3 guys down. It was nuts.
Oh, and the fortune of the respawn was just perfect. And see, this is the thing I don't
amazing
understand.
that you actually respawned not 3 feet away.
I don't understand, and I'm guilty of this myself. I don't understand myself. Self-knowledge is lacking. Who am I, really? Jack. Anyway, when you get the drum can in this, I don't understand why you don't use it, because it's like, I mean, I understand the competitive edge and everything, but oh my god, it is the silliest thing that you can screw with people with.
Combination of fear and absolute hilarity when the drum cam pops out. Absolutely.
And honestly, it's moments like that that I lament the passing of Metal Gear Online, that silliness and that idiosyncrasy. The SOP system, on the other hand, is a flawed experiment. The Last of Us does the same thing and does it much better. You don't need to manually jack in.
No, don't kick me. New rule, you can't kick the guy in the drum can.
He's not in the he's not in the drum can. Kick him. Kick him.
Yeah, they would often have a pretty good idea who, who was not playing from Japan because the ping was not perfectly 2 green bars.
It was amazing how many people did prefer the Japanese playing environment. I believe we covered this in the last one of these we did, but in the final year of Metal Gear Online, they actually had to ban foreign IPs from participating in the Survival, which was the uber competitive reward points league that they held every week.
Yeah, and I actually think that was the doing of the Worst of Us, because I think that the same tactics that people were going to the Japanese servers to avoid were being taken over to the Japanese servers by other American players, and that's one of the reasons why, like lag switching and junk like that. And this is so heartbreaking. I mean, this is what I mean. Like with the CQC EX, you can rack up a pretty good amount of Drebin points, and unfortunately, I just did not make good enough use of this rocket launcher.
You did not capitalize on your rocket-propelled grenade launcher. No.
I like the anachronism of like the RPG 7, like, because I mean that was like MGS3 era technology, and here we are.
Well, isn't it the idea that I can't remember, the RPG was a Russian side weapon, wasn't it?
That I don't know. My military weapons history is a little rough.
I guess the implication might be that there are just so many of the damn things stockpiled out there that it's one of the most widely available and cheap things to use in the battlefield.
Yeah. It's the 7 specifically that makes me kind of raise my eyebrows, because I know RPGs are still used and stuff like that.
More than likely just means the 7th revision of the design.
Probably, yeah. Hazard House was one of the this was one of the levels that was added in the final expansion, the Scene expansion pack, that I think was supposed to bear the characteristics of the Graneny Gorky Lab, the indoor environment. It's great that the player. I'm sorry, go on.
Just one thing I always liked about this map was that there was this little out of the way path going through the attic of the house, and there was often a race between 2 people to get into it, which was odd because you needed someone else's help to get into it. And once you were there, it was like a 50-50 chance of someone else either being up there or you having free reign to hang around up there and shoot through the air vents.
Well, I think it depends on which side your spawn was, because on one side you could actually access it by ladder, but the ladder was like it was really buried. It was hidden in an area that that was very dark. So I mean, it was visually hard to see, unless you had like night vision goggles or whatever. And that was a terrible idea.
Yeah, that was just great. That's just great design. That if you grab someone who's holding a cooked grenade, they just drop it instead of it just disappearing.
That's right. It's like, all right, buddy, you and me, we're about to get real close forever.
Always the most thrilling feeling when you go into a battle of like 5 or 6 people and it's just you and someone else remaining with the other 4 bodies strewn around. And the best part was it was always over in like 2 seconds. The game had great flow. I have to give it that.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. The speed of the encounters. No, you're exactly right. One of the closest game that I can think of that's like this currently is The Last of Us Online. Simply because it has things that are sort of like the SOP system, but it has a much slower pace. It doesn't have the kind of just like hectic. You know, if you've got 2 teams that are smart enough to actually, if you had 2 teams that were smart enough to play together and to follow each other, you know, around, once that confrontation began, it's weird. It would either turn out one team completely smear the other, or it was exactly as you said. Thank you, my CQC EX sister.
Bitchin' fro.
And the salute. God, the salute is such a nice touch.
Just long enough to show respect and just quick enough not to leave you vulnerable.
And with CQC EX, one of the interesting things, when you have, and this is true of, oh, that's something you can't CQC. When you I think this is true for CQC3 as well. CQC3 will enable you to grab somebody and disarm them, you know, like the boss would. And it's the same with CQC EX. If you grab them, posture matters, and this was a weird technical nuance that could frustrate and be brilliant in turn. But like, if the other player was standing up, you could grab them if you were standing up or if you were crouching. But if the other player were crouching and you were standing up, you would not grab them. So you had to be crouching in order to grab them while they were crouching. So it was this weird little technicality that frustrated a number of people, and also led to many failed attempts at CQC.
Something so simple, and it threw so many people off, which is odd because it does make sense when you think about it.
Yeah, and it also this is the video gamey thing about it that was always weird to me, is like, when you have you're incentivized. There's an incentive to grab them while you're crouching, because if you're standing up, you actually go through the full animation of grabbing them, kicking their knee so they lose their posture, and pulling back their arms so their shoulders sort of pop or whatever, and they drop their weapon, and then you hold them up, and that takes like a full second and during which you're completely vulnerable. But if you are crouching, you just immediately bring them down to your level, and then their weapon just magically pops out of them. So it's strange. It's like it was always tactically better.
Yeah, unless you were going for the human shield tactic, it was almost always the better tactic to get them in a hold while you were crouched down.
Did you ever use the human shield tactic?
Very rarely. I got away with it surprisingly often, but the thing about Metal Gear Online is that if you were one of the people playing it pretty hardcore, you were a pretty dab hand at headshots. So the human shield tactic isn't really a thing that worries you.
Yeah, that's right. And it also, I mean, depends on if you got if you have auto aim, not auto aim, a friendly fire turned on. Because if you have friendly fire turned off, then of course there's no use in having a human shield.
Yeah, there's not much point in having a human shield if they're invincible to bullets, now is there?
And this is me desperately wishing I were back in a drum cam. This is what psychologists call drum can ideation.
Shocking, shocking. The prone position was interesting. We saw the prone position at work earlier when that guy made a last-ditch effort to headshot you on his back. Whenever I saw that, it was half dangerous and half sad, because that laying on your back with your M4, desperately trying to headshot, that's like pure desperation.
Well, this has been James, and thank you for watching.
And this is SchwereViper. Always a pleasure, James.